7:46 in downtown Elgin. It's time for Friday with the Fuzz, and I kick it on over to our two hosts today, Paul and Derek. What's up, guys?
Right, we're doing good. We've got the chief of police here in the city of Elgin here once again. We got Jeff Sabota in between myself and Paul is in here as well. So Paul, good morning. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning. Feeling old around you guys. We're talking.
Yeah, no, you're feeling young around us. We bring the young here. We're all young in this.
Exactly. So yeah, Friday with the Fuzz, huh? Here we are.
Here we go.
Final show.
This is my final Friday with the Fuzz, but this is also, I just want to thank Michael Green, who started this whole thing, and it's really, something incredible that really is very unique to our station, very unique to the Elgin community, and I think the Elgin Police Department in general is just very a unique police department with the openness, with the open communication, with basically the forefront of social media, like being on that constantly. It was the first police station, and not only did I work at, I haven't worked at, this is my first big-time radio gig, but knowing that I can get all this information just from the Elgin Police Department's Facebook page, it's been great. So I just want to shout out to that as well. So it's been, and this has just been another extension of kind of the media outreach of the Elgin Police Department. I think it's been an excellent relationship we have here.
Thanks. Yeah, we're excited. I was just talking with Paul off air, and to kind of going into next week, I don't know, maybe we'll retire Friday with the Fuzz and come up with a new name or something, but kind of do more of a round table and bring in some more guests, and Paul can kind of lead the discussion as well as me and get to know more and more people. So yeah, I appreciate your time you stepped in with Mike Green. Those were big shoes to fill, but it's a lot of people do listen to this, get a lot of information out there, and we always talk about, social media is great, but sometimes not all the facts are out there, so it's nice to have a conversation and kind of put things in perspective that you can't get off of Facebook. But Christy and our Facebook team really have been stepping up and getting a lot of great information out there, but this is kind of just another segment that gets people knowing what's going on in Elgin and their police department. So thanks for all your help with getting the information out.
No, you're absolutely welcome. You make it too easy for me.
Thanks.
So it looks like earlier in the week you had a really good turnout at your award ceremony that took place, but it kind of got a little bit panned in the papers.
Yeah, we had an amazing award ceremony on Tuesday night. We had our annual awards where we award people in the community who have stepped up and gotten involved with the police department. We've awarded some businesses who opened up their doors and allowed us to have what we call Coffee with a Cop. And then we also awarded our officers and civilians, all the people who work within the police department. And so they were able to bring out their family. We did it in the evening. City council members were there. It was, I think the number we were at was right around 250 people. So it was a packed house at the Heritage Ballroom in the center. And we went through, and it took about an hour and a half. We got through I don't know, probably a dozen or so awards, and a lot of people got some there's just some great stories that were out there. So, yeah, it was, I think there might have been something in the Courier today with a picture or something, but yeah, it wasn't, people, if they want to see pictures on it, probably pretty much have to go to our Facebook page. It wasn't covered all that well within the local papers. So it was just one of the best ceremonies, and so it's unfortunate. We talked a little bit about it. It's, if an officer would have been arrested or an officer got in trouble, it'd be front page news for multiple days, which in many cases it should be. But so should be when officers step up and do great work, and the police department's giving out dozens of awards. It's the community deserves to know who those officers are and all the great work that they did, and so I believe that deserves to be front page news as well, but wasn't. So we'll survive, and we'll keep putting that information out. And that's why we have a Facebook page with such a large following, because we get everything out, put it out ourselves. So.
Yeah, and as Derek was saying, the amount of transparency that there is with the Elgin Police Department is really a value to the community, and it is very highly appreciated. And we always enjoy having you come in and talk with us and tell us a little bit more in depth about what's been going on that might not be as well promoted in other mediums. So thank you for that.
Thanks. It's we make the comment that it's the community's police department. They deserve to know what's going on. So you guys can. I can't always answer all your questions, but you can ask any question you want, and if we can answer it, we will. But if we can't, we'll tell you that. So it's no harm. People have a right to know what their police department's doing, the tactics they use, how they go about policing the community. And so if people ask us questions, that's what we're here for. We're not above reproach, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, before the show, you and I were talking a little bit about crimereports.com and how there's some shots fired reports that you've turned to on there and that you are kind of directing a lot of attention to.
Yeah, it was just in the paper. There was some discussion at the city council meeting this past week, and there was an article in the paper about it. And in a nutshell, it's we went over all of our crime stats for 2015, and I think I know we've talked about it here a lot. We've put it on Facebook. There's been both of our local papers have done stories on it. I did a video kind of with an overview of all of them. So we've talked a lot about our crime stats. They were just, again, I think it was a 16% reduction in Part 1 crime, which is the largest Part 1 crime reduction we've had, I think, on record, or at least in a number of years, at least more than a decade. And in that, many of our Part 1 crimes were down. Burglary to motor vehicles at a 25-year low. Burglaries were at a 20, 25-year low. Robberies were hovering at all-time lows. So just really fantastic news for the community and all the work that the community has done with the officers who are out there every day just working hard to arrest people who need to be arrested, prevent crime where we can, educate the community. So the officers are the ones who deserve the credit with that, as well as with the community. The one area that did go up, though, we did see shots fired calls go up, and the number of people shot last year compared to especially to 2014, there was an increase. And so there was a discussion of how we get that word out when someone is shot versus a shooting. So just so everybody understands, we're kind of speaking the same language. Somebody hears shots fired, we show up, we find shell casings or something hit, not a person but a building, a car, something that's we do a police report. All of those once they're approved by a supervisor, they're signed off on, they go on crimereports.com. So we wanted to make, and just from the discussion that was had at the council meeting, I don't think we've done a good enough job explaining to the community about crimereports.com. So everyone needs to understand that you can go on your neighborhood. So you go on to crimereports.com, click on your neighborhood, and you can look at all the different calls for service that are going on in your neighborhood. Everything from a traffic stop to sex offenders who live there, to if there are burglaries, if there were shots fired, if there was a homicide, anything that's going on over there. There are some things that aren't, which are some like drug investigations, things that we have to keep quiet until we make an arrest. Some, I think, domestics, there might be some family things that don't go on crimereports.com. But everything else is on crimereports.com. Because of the feedback we got from the community, we actually approached crimereports.com. They used to only update once a day. Well, because of what Elgin was working with them, they now update it once every hour. So every hour, those calls now get updated. So you can find out what's going on in your neighborhood every hour once the reports are finalized. So everything is put in there. So the question was whether or not we want to do a formal press release and put it out there to be in the paper every time there was a shots fired call. So there's a little bit of discussion with that. I'm very comfortable with the way we're doing it, in that if someone is shot in Elgin, we do a press release that gets put out there. But unfortunately, there's a lot of bad information with that. We found out after we do a press release that someone was shot, we find out that they shot themselves, they were shot by a friend, and so people are concerned that, wow, there was a shooting in my neighborhood, and then we find out, no, that person was shot by himself, and he lied about where it occurred. So we have to be very careful with the information we put out there. People have values to their home and want to sell their homes, and we start putting bad information out there as to what's going on, it could really be misleading for our community. So we talked a little bit about that, and we'll continue going forward. So if anybody really wants to know what's going on in their neighborhood, crimereports.com. You can set up an alert anytime anything happens in your neighborhood. You can get an email or a text message sent to your phone. So there is no excuse why people don't know what's going on in their neighborhood. It's a great system that we use, and it's not even taking that we give it to it. It comes right out of our CAD system, our computer-aided dispatch system. So it just automatically, once a report is finalized, automatically goes into that, and again, every hour it's being updated. So it's a great system that gives out the word of what's going on in the Elgin community.
Wow, that's pretty fantastic that you can just go and access that readily, and again, crimereports.com. Wow, that's a fantastic tool for people looking to know what's going on in their neighborhoods.
It is.
And so that kind of leads me into what was being discussed earlier this week at the Chiefs meeting that was held.
Yeah, we had the Chiefs meeting on Monday night. It was a great turnout. Boy, we talked about everything. Everything from, we always have some traffic issues that are going on. We got into a side conversation. Some of the community wanted to talk about the 4th of July parade. It's one of the most popular parades around. It's a great event, and there's some discussion on whether or not that parade's going to be moved from its current location, which really starts further up north in Elgin here on the east side. And if we're going to try and move it down, the Downtown Neighborhood Association is asking that it be moved a little bit further south so that it could go through the downtown area. So there was just some discussion on that. I told them we don't necessarily have a say. I mean, they'll ask us logistically how does that work, but it'll ultimately be the mayor and council's decision on where the parade is held, and the police will make it happen wherever that's decided. So there was some discussion on that. We had a few arrests that were made. One that was interesting. There's no press release out yet, but I believe it's coming. But it's somebody impersonating a lawyer. So that was an interesting one that they wanted to talk about. That we had a few where we've had people impersonating doctors and something else, but this was a person who was impersonating a lawyer and was actually drawing up some legal documents for someone. And as you know, you can go online and pretty much pull up any legal document you want, and they were selling, somebody I think needed an order of protection, and we had a fake attorney selling an order of protection to a victim. And so so we always tell people, if there's something fishy going on, or make sure you know who somebody just says they're a lawyer, make sure you kind of check their credentials. There's enough you can do online to find out if somebody's really a lawyer, or going through your somebody was pretending to be. We had somebody practicing medicine out of their basement of their house one time not too long ago, and so it's scary when you get involved in that. So the person thought they had some type of legal protection and they didn't. It was a fraud. So there was an arrest made on that. I think we were putting a press release out today, I believe. So we talked about that. We talked a little bit about there were some people there. Officer St. John, who was the Officer of the Year last year, was there and kind of talked a little bit about what we do in the Major Investigations Division, which is our detectives. So a little bit of everything. So anybody ever wants to come down, we'll have one again. We have it every month, and it's on a Monday, I believe. Is it the third Monday or fourth Monday of every month, Christine? Fourth Monday of every month. So come on down and talk about any issue you want to talk about with the police department. We're there. My entire command staff is usually there, or not entire, but usually 2 or 3 of the command staff are there. So come on down anytime.
Great. And not to harp on it too much, but with that lawyer scam, when you see cases like that, when those sorts of things come across your desk, or you're in the field and these things come up, who tends to be the people who are victimized in these crimes? Who are the ones most affected? Who's being taken advantage of?
There's been different ones, but in some there's been the Hispanic community's been targeted with certain type of crimes. We had for a little while some people who were, especially when the foreclosures were going very, we had a lot of foreclosures. People would break into a house that they knew was abandoned, change the locks, and then put it up for rent. And so, because it was owned by a bank, and maybe the bank was even out of state, nobody would even come and check on the house very much. All of a sudden, somebody would come, they would rent a house and be in there for maybe weeks, maybe a month, and somebody would show up and say, what are you doing in this house? Like, what do you mean we rent it? And they'd pay for cash to their landlord. And once the bank came or somebody came and said, no, the bank owns this. There's not supposed to be renting here. The person was long gone with $1,000 security deposit and the first month's rent of $1,000. And so sometimes it seemed. So I know that when I was talking with some, I was working with Elgin Centro de Información in Elgin, downtown Elgin, and they noticed that some of the people there were being scammed. So it can be anybody can be scammed, but sometimes people are taken advantage of if the person who's taking the advantage of a person feels that the victim's not going to go to the police, and if someone's here. Potentially, not, they don't have papers. They're not legal citizens. They're fear they're not going to go to the police department. So we encourage people all the time. Listen, if you've been the victim of any type of crime, whether you're here legally or not legally, you have the right to not be scammed, to be harmed, to be victimized in any way. So everyone needs to know that the police are here to assist and keep people safe. So they need to, we work with Central all the time to make sure that the clientele that's going there knows that the police aren't going to deport people and run people's immigration status when they're a victim of a crime, and we don't do that. And so they need to know that they can contact us. So that was part of the what we were seeing develop within the Hispanic community specifically.
And Derek and I, we were speaking with both Jaime and Yaneth from Centro de Información. It was either earlier this week or late last week, and they had a lot to share with us about what Centro de Información does for the community, and specifically for the Hispanic community. So the fact that we know now that the Elgin Police Department is working in close conjunction with them with matters such as this, I think that brings a little bit more comfort, knowing that it's being addressed in the right ways. So
they're a great group. Jaime and Yaneth. I mean, they do so much work over there for so many people and do a lot of great work in the community. So the Elgin Police Department is definitely a partner with them.
And that's a great thing to know. So up next, next week I should say, we've got Coffee with a Cop again, and that's going to be taking place at Paul's Family Restaurant. So that's going to be next Tuesday. Yeah,
one of the local favorite restaurants here in Elgin, so people can stop by over on the west side over at Paul's, and they've opened up their doors for us. We're going to sit around and talk about again, Coffee with a Cop's another great venue where people can ask any question they want. Find out what's going on in their neighborhood, find out what's going on in the community, find out what's going on with crime, that type of stuff. So Commander Lally's been putting these on routinely, and we'll probably only have a few more this year. well, up until summertime, and then our summertime we kind of turn it to where we do more of our walk and talk. So we hit a neighborhood just about every week, and we spread out and just go and knock on doors and ask people what's going on, if there's anything we can help them with. So we'll talk more in the coming weeks about what walk and talk is all about. But for now, we're doing these Coffee with a Cop. So come on down to Paul's for a cup of coffee next Tuesday, and 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll be a nice event.
Great, fantastic. I know when I was in school, my campus PD, they would hold similar events where students could go and they could ask the police about what they were doing and just general questions about so they could be more informed and a more well informed student body. So much in the same regard, Coffee with a Cop, by the Elgin Police. That's great that the community can come in kind of in a lax sort of a venue and be able to just talk casually with you guys. So.
Yeah, sometimes during an incident, whether you're just in a traffic crash or something else going on, it can be an intimidating thing. You're dealing with an officer, you got lights flashing, and sometimes people don't get all the information they need or want, and so it's a matter of just doing a little bit more of kind of sitting around casually and talking with your officers.
Fantastic. And let's see, we're right around 8 o'clock. So
you've been quiet.
Yeah, I have been quiet. I've been waiting for my turn. Jeff, I know you were at an event last night. Do you want to maybe just discuss a little bit about the event you were at last night? Great event. I had a coworker there. David Rose was there as well. He texted me to remind me, but I knew that you were there as well. So we want to discuss that event, maybe discuss the stigma kind of attached to that event as well, and how that was when you went there. How it's completely different from maybe what it's portrayed, I guess, in the media.
Yeah, we went to our Human Relations Commission had a event last night called Black Lives Matter. There's a second part of it. It was like where all lives matter. I forget how they termed it, but it was an event last night, and we were talking about, because I went last night. Commander O'Shea was there. Commander Lally was there as well. And we went as the police department. It's interesting when you allow the media to kind of portray what's going on with anything, because let me finish this thought. So with the Black Lives Matter, there's many times where I've seen it on TV as well, where it can be anti-police, people marching, saying negative things about the police. So when this event came up, I know some officers were kind of like, oh, what's this going to be, a police bashing thing? And so went to it and sat there, and it was not anything like that. It was really just talking about the need to make sure everybody, there are many, homicides that are occurring all over the country. Specifically, I mean, not too far from here, south side of Chicago, there are, daily. I don't even keep track anymore, and how many people are, being killed. It's just the idea that all lives are important. There needs to be more of a spotlight on the black community with the amount of black people that are being killed. And so it was an event that really just was all about the community, making sure that we all come together, we all continue to talk and have dialogue, and so when you have names attached to things and you let the media kind of decide what something looks like or what it's going to be about, you can kind of step away. I can use the same example for the police. There are some people in some communities, if you say, yeah, the police are holding a conversation, let's go talk to them. We don't want to go and talk to the police. They're doing bad things or negative things are happening. And so when you allow the media, and that was a big part of what the panel was talking about, is you can't let the media be your perception of what things are about, whether that's what a movement is about, what the police are about, what this group is about or that group's about. And if we all just kind of come out and not sit behind social media and blast other people, but actually come out and listen to people and take sides. I saw somebody there last night that I saw he was a speaker at a event not too long ago. And he was saying a lot of things that I didn't agree with, and that I actually, because it was about policing and some things. And so we actually, rather than me just kind of turn him off and say, what, I don't agree with what he's saying, I'm going to ignore this guy. We actually went out for breakfast, and at breakfast it was actually a great discussion. What we found is that, even though his perception of what's going on with law enforcement is different from mine, there was some common ground and some ideas and some sharing about, how things can be better, where we can do more good, because in the end, if everybody's intentions are good, we all want to just have a safe community, and I know officers go out every day wanting to just protect people, not get involved in use of force incidents, and the community just wants to live in an area where they're not going to feel like they're occupied and the police are their friend. And so if we kind of all agree that people's motives are good, then we can kind of come together and have a good discussion and make the community safer. And so last night, that's what everything was about. The moderator kept things on track and moving, and really just talked about that we as a community need to come together. Everybody's important. The police play an important role, and it wasn't really about the police, but the police came up a few times. Police play an important role in keeping people safe. but the tactics that we use do matter, so we need to have those discussions. And so it was, like I said, if I would have let the media kind of decide what the Black Lives Matter movement was, I wouldn't have went. I said, I'm not going in there. I'm definitely not going to go in uniform because it's going to be people who don't like the police, and that's not what it was at all. And so the police that were there, we were thanked many times for being there, and it was just a nice discussion about how do we move forward and make sure that everybody's on page, everybody is important, everybody has value and should be treated with dignity and respect. And from the Elgin Police Department, I tell you that's. At the award ceremony we talked about, I said, you look around policing around the country, there's a lot of things that need to change. I look at videos and I see it, I'm like, what was that officer thinking? Oh my gosh, that looks terrible. Policing does need to improve their tactics from time to time. Officers are human beings, they make mistakes, they make judgment calls that are bad. And so it doesn't mean, police are bad. As I look around, I said, I'm very proud of what we're doing in Elgin because we do it the right way, we do it in conjunction with the community, and so it's, while policing does need to change and policing, needs to continuously adapt, how we're doing it in Elgin is something everyone should be very proud of. And last night at this community meeting, I don't know that there was any negative comments about the Elgin Police, and really nothing but just, wow, they're doing so much out in the community, the Elgin, and so, again, for an event that I might have thought that, wow, I don't want to go there because they might be bashing the police, it was really an event where it was all about what me and the Elgin Police Department are about, working with the community so that we realize that every life matters and that we need to treat everyone with dignity and respect, and the police play an important role. And again, the Elgin Police Department was thanked over and over again last night. So it was a great event put out by the Human Relations Commission. There's a lot of work more to do. Sitting around and talking about things are great, but it's more about action and how we actually move forward. So I know there'll be more events coming. So I would invite more and more people to come to the next one.
Excellent. Well, Jeff, it's been a pleasure once again, and thanks for making this so easy for us, and actually very easy for the listener as well, getting all that information out there. So, Chief of Police here in the city of Elgin, Jeff Sabota, once again here on Friday at the Fuzz.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, and good luck to you. I'm sure we'll see you around.
Thank you, and Paul, thank you as well. And we'll kick it back to Kyle here for the music and the top of the hour here on AM 1410 WRMN.
All right.
Kyle.